kind of goes without saying, I've never built a gable end wall, and I'm overthinking it. I didn't get hardly anything done yesterday because I was overthinking a gable end wall and how to build it. My plans aren't drawn up to the point where you can just look at a plan and say, oh, okay, you cut these boards and fit them up this way. There isn't even a picture of the gable end wall. Contractors, they build these things all day long, no big deal, or they order trusses and the gable end walls come with the trusses. You just pop them up, put them in place, no big deal. But I stopped overthinking it and just decided to come out here and draw it out, measure it out, draw it out on the floor. The floor is going to get covered anyways, not a big deal. As long as my measurements are correct and I keep in mind that there's going to be a 2x8 sitting on top of this that's got to be the same height up here as the rafters, and it's got to be able to go off the end of the wall. It's the main things I have to keep in mind. It should turn out just fine. I haven't got the 2x8s. I haven't went down and purchased those yet. I got the 2x6 and the header for the window. I'm going to frame everything up. There's also a 3.5 inch by 16.5 inch glue lam beam that's going to go at the very top. It's my ridge beam. So I've got to make a notch in the gable end for that beam to sit in. But I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to start cutting boards and nailing them together and cross my fingers that everything turns out good and snazzy. So first thing I've done to make this gable end, and this is the first side, so it's my guinea pig side. I've taken two 12-foot 2x6 and scabbed them together with this piece of scrap 2x6 to make them the 24-foot long. Now the wall I believe is 24 foot 1 inch. I think that was this side. Anyways, I cut 3 inches off of the total length of the wall so that the 2x8 that's going to sit on the top of this gable end is going to go right off the wall, and it's going to be the same height as the 2x12 after they're notched out to sit on the wall. The other thing I did was measure the center point. This line right here is the center point of this 2x6. And I'm going to use that. The next thing I'll build is the window that's going to go in the center of this wall with the 4x6 or the 6x8 header at the top of it. It's a 5 foot tall window that's 4 foot wide. So I'll go ahead and get all the king studs and jack studs and frame in that window opening and set it up here centered on this line. And then I'll go from that point straight to the top that'll hold the ridge beam, go the diagonals out, and then I'll mark my 16 on center for the boards coming out here so my siding has something to nail to. The opening will be 4 foot. center that to this center line, 2 foot there. So we got our 6x6, which is 5.5 by 5.5. This is our glue lamb. Hopefully you can see this square here. This little square is a glue lamb. 3.5 by 16.5 tall. Our 6x6, which is 5.5 by 5.5, has got to go from a little ways up on this. They have in my plans, they have me notching this 6x6 so that the glue lamb sits down in it. Now this is where my 2x8 cut at a 45 goes from this point to this point. So it's going to have a 45 here. My 6x6 should probably come somewhere up here, I would guess. Enough room to clear that. But I've got 2 through bolts. They're going to go through the 6x6 and through the glue lamb to hold it together. That's how my engineer designed that to hold together. So I've got to go. That 6x6 has to be 27 inches long. So if I keep this the way it is, and I notch this post so the glue lamb sits down in it, I went ahead and cut these at 45s, and they're just sitting here, just as a reference. They're pretty straight, pretty lined up with where they're going to attach at the bottom. But if I leave this notch, so I notch this, I don't just cut it flat, I have no way of running a through bolt to attach this 6x6 to this glue lamb beam, because this whole wall is going to get built with these included before the glue lamb beam goes in there. The wall is going to get built and tilted up into place. Then I'll put the other posts in the center and I'll set the glue lamb beam in. I have no way of running through bolt unless I get some long through bolts and drill through all of this. I don't even know if I have a drill bit that long. What I'm kind of thinking I might do for the end wall is cut this off. I've got to have a king stud come up next to the glue lamb if I do that. But I'm supposed to have a 6x6 in here. So I don't know if I make shims. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I have no clue how this is supposed to work. I've looked at pictures of Gable walls, even ones with big headers, glue lamb beams, big posts. They don't show 6x6 posts, they'll show a post the same size as the glue lamb beam, and then a king stud that goes up next to it and you nail in. Problem being is that there's no way to nail in unless you nail in up here to the glue lamb, which I guess is okay. I'll have to call my engineer, make a phone call. Maybe I'll take a picture of this and I'll run into town and talk to him if he's available. I don't know what time it's getting to be, but I've spent way too much time, or wasted way too much time on day 2 of building glue lamb, or building gable walls. Yesterday I spent all day thinking about it and nothing got done. And today I'm mocking stuff up, just trying to go for it, and nothing's getting done again because I'm running into problems like this with the engineering. So I get off the phone with my engineer, and this is the design that we're both thinking is going to work the best as far as being able to make this wall. One of these next to the 6x6, the 2 top plates come in, the 2 bolts then go through, and being as the 2x8 is going to sit out here, and then the outriggers will come out. The 2x6 will sit on this outside edge. We can put the bolts more down here, staggered up and down, more in there. So the bolts will actually go through here and through here, and we won't be blowing this double top plate out as much as we're thinking if we don't have this. If this is gone and this is up here, there's not a whole lot of meat that we're going through. You're kind of taking out all this. So if we move it down, man, that wind in the sawdust is killing me. And put this up here, we'll be blowing out a little bit of this top plate to go through here, and a little bit of this top plate to go down here, but it'll have more meat to attach to. All right, I'm done for the day. I didn't get as much done as I thought I was going to, or as much as I wanted to. I would have liked to get this part of the wall nailed together and maybe some more studs put in and cut and put in, however you want to put it. I've still got to get the bottom part of the window. This window is not going all the way to the floor. It's going to stop 3 feet at the 3 foot high mark. I think it's going to be 4 foot by 5 foot is what this one's going to be. I've got the notch cut out for the beam, the ridge beam. I still did a lot more thinking today than I think I needed to. I had a plan for the beginning of the day, and this is basically what it was, but I got halfway through it and I started second guessing everything, and called my engineer and talked to him a bit. Had that problem with the through bolts up here, but it's not really a problem. Just me overthinking things more than anything. So this is kind of pushing my limits on what I'm comfortable doing. I've worked on cars all my life. I've never built a house, and I've never built rafters or end gables. I built my garage back where we used to live. We bought trusses, and the trusses came with that end gable already made. It was like Legos. You just kind of put it together and nailed it up. So this is definitely out of my safe zone, I guess you'd say. I don't know what you call it. Out of my comfort zone. I think that's a better term. But hopefully this inspires more people to get out and do things outside their comfort zone. Get things going. I'll get more of this done tomorrow. I'll get some studs put in, get it all nailed together. Hopefully I'll get that other one done tomorrow and we can tilt these two gable end walls up. Get to work on these beams. Until next time, guys, go out and make something. Push those boundaries. Get outside your comfort zone.